like to call the resident council meeting to order. Jan Lee will give us our opening prayer. Excuse me, Jean. Jean, Carol.
Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you for guiding our administrators and Walgreens to have the entire Chesterfield, Cedarfield community offer to have I'm sorry, I do have it written. To have the entire Cedarfield community was offered the opportunity to receive the first vaccine for COVID-19. Now we pray that the supplies will remain available for the second vaccine. We will follow our shared values as we wait patiently. We ask your healing hand and blessings on the dining room workers and any others who are struggling with the virus. We look forward to a near normal soon. We are thankful for a peaceful inauguration, and now we pray that our divided nation will try to come together. Bless all our residents and team members as we go forward in 2021. Amen.
Thank you, Jean. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes of the last meeting? If not, they'll stand approved as submitted. I want to welcome you to 2021. Can't believe it. A new year is on us, and yet it's sort of the ending of an old year for this council. We've got one more meeting after this. At this time, we're planning for our transition to a new president and secretary. Our council is working together with the residents to select new area representatives and new committee chairs that will begin their term on March 1st. I would encourage everyone and anyone who is asked to serve, please consider saying yes. We welcome you to work in pairs if you choose, but resident involvement is essential for Cedarfield to remain a caring and pleasing place to live. Without your input, we cannot improve or find new ideas and methods. February is also when we'll have our annual meeting, and all residents will have an opportunity to vote for a new president-elect and secretary-elect. Our meeting will be held virtually like this one, and you'll be receiving voting instructions and a ballot in a few days. The results will be announced at that meeting. The current council will also have an opportunity to vote and approve of new committee chairs. We'll be sending a ballot to accomplish this also to the current council members due to our meeting restrictions. This is required in the bylaw change that passed last year. Those results will also be announced in the February meeting. The area representatives are elected by the residents in their area, and this has been going on all month. As some new things that are coming up, I'd like to encourage you to watch Channel 971 on Wednesday, February the 3rd at 3 p.m. During the executive director's talk time, a representative from Dispatch Health will give a presentation and answer many residents' questions concerning their services. There were also some 25th anniversary activities planned for in February. They may be delayed due to this COVID outbreak in dining, and you'll be notified of any of the changes. And we also sincerely hope that anyone who's experiencing an illness will have a quick recovery and be able to join us again soon. In closing, I want to share with you this month's act of kindness. The Wellness and Leisure staff has offered us treats such as popcorn and hot chocolate, I think chocolate cake today, many times to break up the winter's loneliness and bring us together safely. And our special thanks go out to them. Now I would like to introduce Tom Maxwell, who is going to introduce to you who the candidates are that the election is for. Tom?
Thank you, Carol. Before I introduce our nominees, I'd like to say something briefly about our walk across Central and South America. Carol Thompson and I would like to thank all those who have signed up for the walk across Latin America. We have 129 people participating, which is a record, which is really great. Two things. I'd like to encourage everybody to continue walking each day, each week, until we complete on February 13th. We're trying to get to the southern end of South America. There, at the southern end, we're going to meet Win and Warren Coons in Unisha, the southernmost city in the world. So we have to give our best these next few weeks so that we don't leave them hanging. So, one other thing. Please sign your sheets, your step sheets, before you turn them in. Each week I've had somebody turn theirs in without having signed it, so I don't know who to credit the steps with. This week I've had 5 so far, and a couple of them were pretty hefty steps, so please remember to sign your sheets. Now, on behalf of the Residents' Council Nomination Committee, consisting of Myra Nagel, Louisa Rucker, and Christine Watt, I'd like to have Mike Greenwood and Vivian Makowski just give a little bit of background from their standpoint. Mike is the President-elect, he's up for President-elect, and Vivian is Assistant Secretary-Treasurer. Mike?
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Greenwood. I was born in Alabama in 1944. When my dad got out of the service, he was in the Philippines. We moved back to King William, Virginia, and I lived most of my young life in the country in King William. Went to William and Mary, met my wife at William and Mary, and we married and have been married for 54 years coming up. We lived in Richmond for the last 48 years until we came to Cedarfield. We lived in Ginter Park in the north side. I owned a business there, which was a distribution business, and we had 3 branches in Norfolk, Richmond, and Roanoke. I sold them to a German international company and traveled with them for 15 years after I sold the business. Had a great time visiting many of their companies in Europe. My wife ran the New Community School, which was a school for kids with learning disabilities, dyslexia in particular. She did that for 38 years. When we both retired 7 years ago, and unfortunately she came down, was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and the Parkinson's advanced to causing dementia. So we moved to Cedarfield 2 years ago, and I moved into life care, I guess we call it, and she went into the memory unit. Unfortunately, she progressed to the point where the memory unit couldn't handle her, and we eventually moved my wife to another location where she can age in place and not have to move again. So it's been a trying kind of 2 years. I will tell you this, we know Cedarfield a lot. We came to Cedarfield because her mother, my mother-in-law, was here until 2011, Jean Dickinson, and she was actually the president of the Residents' Council, so it's kind of come around full circle. quite frankly. I've been involved in volunteer organizations all my life. I was president of our International Association of Plastics Distributors, quite a task with 500 companies and 10 to, I forget how many thousand employees. I really enjoyed that, giving back to the association. And my wife was president of the Virginia Association of Independent Schools. So we've been involved in volunteer organizations pretty much all our life. When they asked me to do this job, I said, well, I don't know why you would pick me, but I believe in volunteerism, and I believe that in what we're doing here at Cedarfield, and it's just a great place, and I'm excited about being part of it. Thank you.
Tough act to follow. I'm Vivian McCoskey, obviously, and I've been at Cedarfield since 2013. My husband and I decided to move here before we felt we needed to. My husband is Don McCoskey. You've probably seen him hanging around the library. He does a lot of hours there every week. I have done absolutely nothing at Cedarfield except for one little, I taught a memoir writing class for several weeks a while back. And so when I was invited to stand for this election, I figured, well, it was about time that I give something back. I'm a psychologist by training. My professional life was primarily in colleges and universities, although I did have a stint of 6 years in association management in Washington, D.C. We moved to, we moved to Ashland initially, and we did it because we wanted a milder climate than we had been having. I have absolutely no qualifications for this job, but I'll do my best. I don't have a long history to talk about. I started writing fiction when I retired. I write under the pen name of Vivian Lawry, Lawry, and some of my books are in the Cedarfield Library, or at least they used to be. And that's the main thing I do. I write fiction. It's my hobby, and that and collecting Santas. I am the Santa woman. And I look forward to getting to know you all much better. Thank you.
Well, I think we have two wonderful candidates. I'm very impressed, and I thank you so much for agreeing to serve. Now we'll hear from the executive director.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to be with you. I will be brief. I do have 7 topics to talk about. One is just a real quick 3 tidbits on our COVID-19 vaccination plan. I did receive a text just 1 minute ago, and I'll read it to you. From our Walgreens partner, Michael, 100% we will be at your location next Thursday for the second shot with your team members and the second shot for the residents in the middle of February. We look forward to it, and our entire team looks forward to coming back to your community. So I know there's those of you that have read the Richmond Times-Dispatch, have seen an article. If you have not, there's an article out there about CVS's rollout and distribution within the communities that they serve here in Rico County. We are partnered with Walgreens all the way through this vaccine, and they will be here the second time. I actually saw a picture of our vials that are allocated to Cedarfield, inside the freezer that's about as big as this podium at the Walgreens located on Parham Road. So all of our vials are allocated. So second thing is we are working with the Virginia Department of Health to understand what herd immunity means for them. If all goes well through these next couple of vaccination dates, we should have 90% plus of the community vaccine. So that's great. Team members, residents, rehab department, the bank, etc. So my question to them is how can we unfold some of the things that we have come to have here over the last year and get back to life as we knew it, or some level of it here in March or April. And then the third thing I just want to share with COVID, evolving preparedness plans downstairs in the pharmacy. This is really great news. Our Remedy partners, they now have the IV COVID-19 antibodies. So in the event that we do have somebody that's pretty sick, our health center can utilize those and the IV fluids to help somebody recover. So that just is hot off the presses as of 10 minutes ago. David downstairs is very, very excited. That's the first thing. Second thing, I was asked by Carol and Eldon just to touch on our master plan expansion. I'm going to go backwards in time just for a few minutes because there were a couple of phases that we have already completed. Phase 1 of our master plan expansion was the dining services, physical therapy, the pool demo, and the team member dining area. And included in this phase 1, we renovated the Atrium Cafe, the pharmacy, and the billiard room. So that was phase 1. Phase 2 is obviously the wellness building that is complete. Phase 3 is D-Wing, which is just 2 apartments that are unsold here going out through April, so that's great news. The 4th phase is the household building that you see under construction, which is due to open up here in April. We're very excited about that. The reason that Eldon and Carol wanted me to bring this up is because of what's to come next, the next phase of our master plan expansion. When we open up the household building, it will not be used for its intended long-term use. Its intended long-term use is to be long-term care on both floors. There's 20 apartments on the 4th floor and then 20 apartments on the 5th floor. When April rolls around, we will initiate phase 5 of this master plan expansion. And phase 5 is to renovate memory support, assisted living, and on the 4th floor, what we know now as our nursing home, we're going to convert that whole floor. We're going to add 23 more assisted living apartments because we need them. And we're going to create a Medicare inpatient neighborhood. And so this next phase, phase 5, is about a 2-year project. We are not using our current contractor. We will use a contractor called Hourigan, H-O-U-R-I-G-A-N, very reputable firm here in Richmond. And so we wanted to bring this up because the household building, we're going to use that as swing space over the next 2 years. So residents that live in memory support, live in assisted living, and in our current nursing home, we're going to swing them into the household building temporarily and then swing them back after we're done the renovation in the licensed areas. It's a very complex plan, and we intend to have some meetings here in February and early part of March to really go dive into the details, especially with the assisted living residents and the healthcare residents and families. We've actually already started. We had a family night in this room 2 weeks ago with the memory support families to talk about the plan that that phase will be for about 6 months. So, and then in phase 5 also is this, I call it the smaller project renovations plan. It's renovating this space right here. It's renovating the main lobby, the library, the Faith Center. There's a tunnel downstairs between D Wing and the elevator that we want to renovate. There's a sign package that's desperately needed here at the community, both indoors and outdoors. The paving of the lane, replacing roofs in the cottages, and then the clinic. We have to expand the clinic. So those are all smaller pieces that actually fit into this phase. So again, I think it would be wise of me to have some smaller groups here in February and March to talk about those phases. So, third thing I just want to talk about is our team member engagement survey. For those of you that are listening live, if you would like a copy of this executive summary, I have a copy down at the administration suite. Everyone here in the fellowship hall actually has a copy of it. We've been talking over the last few weeks about this survey. I condensed it to an executive summary, actually was provided by Holleran, into one page. It talks about the strengths of the survey, the key drivers of this particular team member engagement survey, and then at the bottom I condensed the top 15 questions and the scores of those, the mean scores of those questions from 2015, 2017, and 2020. We really value partnering with this company. They have 400 retirement communities that they are engaged with, which equates to about 60,000 surveys a year. So it's a great benchmark for us to compare our team's responses to the benchmark of Holleran. So I'm not going to go in line by line with it, but if anybody has any questions about this executive summary or would like to see more detail, it is a 17-page document, and we can certainly do that at a future time. Three more bullet points. We're in strategic planning mode right now. It's an annual occurrence for us, along with budget planning. And so my intention is to, in the spirit of transparency, you're not off the hook yet, Carol. So past, present, and current resident council presidents, I intend to have a breakfast with them in February to go over the strategic plan and get their input in the plan, as we've done in the last couple of years. Budget planning, we are requesting that the resident council committees, the health committee, environmental committee, etc., all the committees meet with their respective liaison within the management team. If there are capital items that each of the committees would like to see on our 5-year capital plan, that is the month of February is really devoted to strategic planning and budget planning. I was talking with a couple of residents last night, and I think it would be wise of us to launch a small committee of residents and team members to talk about how close residents would like to be to the hiring process. I think it'd be really an interesting discussion if we convene an action team to talk about hiring Cedarfield team members at the executive level, all the way up to the CNAs, the housekeepers, and talk about what the involvement is with the residents and how close you would like to be with that hiring process. So we're going to initiate a little action team here, moving into February. I would love to see residents even in the healthcare area helping the nurses hire CNAs, etc. That would just be music to our ears. I do think we need to launch another action team called a relaunch team. We have all been isolated for going on what will be 12 months here in a couple weeks. 12 months. And I don't think we should take for granted just saying, okay, we have herd immunity, and now let's try to go back to life as we knew it. A year has passed, and we're going to convene another action team to talk about a relaunch plan and how we really intentionally, purposefully connect people together. And then my last thing is just at the last resident council meeting, we had a very lively discussion about dining services. Once we get out of this little pickle that we're in right now, which we will start to team members will start to cycle off of their 14-day quarantine tomorrow. So that's all great news. We're starting to cycle out of the pattern we're in. I think we really need to have a discussion about, again, because of COVID and another variety of things, where we're at with dining services, and then the tweaks that they're making within the department and how they're communicating with the residents so that you can see what they're doing compared to actually what you're tasting every day and be able to provide us feedback on that level. So we're going to convene an action team with the dining services committee within the council and explore that approach. That is all for me. Yes, ma'am.
We will now start with the committee reports. Communications report will be given by Elvira.
The committee met and recommended the following. One person be responsible for adding and deleting the screens on channel 970. Many screens stay up past their due dates, and there are multiple screens for the same event. And we miss some screens when it's critical. For instance, when the atrium closed. All committee reports that have been submitted to resident council be read at the monthly reading, even if a rep from that committee is not present. Area reps need to make a concerted effort to circulate resident council minutes. Residents who miss Michael's chats at 3 p.m. on 971 can catch up on their touch team. Residents have input in discussions with Verizon Comcast negotiations. They're not satisfied with present service. Area living groups return to periodic meetings with department heads so they can voice concerns. Departments do not return all phone calls. And I think we miss out with not knowing even who the department heads are or having a mental picture. Distribute pictures of new residents to all residents so we can make new friends. The bulletin board pictures are not enough. I think a concerted effort has been made in getting the book out to start. From the Cedar Digest, Fred Beck, editor, reminds all residents that he's looking for your creative endeavors. Factual or flights of fiction are welcome. The end of February is his next deadline for the spring issue. New residents, Fred would love to hear from you if you have a story to tell or have experience in publishing and want to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Dining services, no report. Environmental services, Eldon will give.
What I'd like to do is summarize the results of the Environmental Committee meeting on January the 5th. There were three issues I'd like to highlight. One is the nature trail. The chair clarified at that meeting that the committee continues its view that this particular trail should not be cleared of leaves. Otherwise, experience has shown erosion occurs. You only clear the bridges that go from place to place. And it feels like perhaps the folks from James River, in their zeal to try to clean up, has gone and blown some of the leaves off when they shouldn't. The second issue is the pond trail. There needs to be a new signage on the trail that clarifies that feeding bread to the geese is both damaging to their health and contributes to the stagnation of the pond. So we need to stop that. The last one I want to mention was the resolution regarding stormwater problems behind 2178 Cedar Field Lane. This concern relative to rainwater accumulating in what they might call a swale in that area has been a problem for quite a while. There was a lot of discussion, and it ended up in a resolution suggesting that the swale be filled with safe portals. There would be some pieces to allow the water to penetrate down to the continuum of existing crushed stone, which then actually goes toward the lane. And that was a suggestion. Thank you.
Facilities Committee, Don Nagel.
The Facilities Committee is a little out of sync with this committee. Our last meeting was on the 15th of December, and those are the minutes that are going to be included with the minutes of this meeting. Next meeting is the 15th of February, so we're looking forward to that. In the last meeting, our Facilities Committee meeting, there's discussion about door stops, or hold open door things. And we had quite a bit of discussion on it, and it was kind of left at, well, they're fire doors, and we don't know what to do about it. The magic word is door stop, not door holder open. And it turns out there are some wonderful things available at Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon. It's a regular door stop, like you see on many of them, but it's got a little magnet in it. So for those people that have trouble getting into their apartment with a cart and the groceries, and it can be a handful because that's a heavy door, one of these little devices, it just allows you to push the door open once. It'll stay there and just stay there, because if you bump it, it'll close right back up on you. But we want to look into that type of device here. Several of us have them that we've put in ourselves, and it does make a difference. So the next meeting, door stops, magnetic door stops will be discussed. Until then.
Thank you, Don. Finance Committee has no report. Flower Committee has no report. Gardening Committee has a report that they're submitting. Health Services, Elvira.
The Health Service Committee met on January 13th, 2021. 7 members plus Carol Marco, president, were present for the meeting. Matt Dameron and Melissa Saylor were unable to be present. Therefore, we had a limited agenda. The status opportunity for a diabetes support group was tabled until the April meeting, as input is needed from Matt and Melissa. The new building is targeted to be turned over to Cedar Field in early March, and as Michael said, we would be able to probably see things in April. Several questions arose related to us as a Medicare provider. We'll ask Matt to address those at the April meeting so that we begin to move ahead together, as the men's group has already heard Matt talk. Nancy Hoffheimer and Elvira Seghetti's names were submitted as co-chairs for next year. And we recommend that Nancy Hoffheimer and Elvira Seghetti be included in the committee to interview for the Director of Nurses. Thank you.
Thank you, Elvira. Library, Dolly Hens.
Good afternoon. The Library Committee met in the Fellowship Hall on Wednesday, January 20th. 23 members were present. The financial report was given, and there are ample funds to purchase books, and there's ample funds in the Friends of the Library Fund, thanks to many wonderful donors. The committee unanimously agreed with the council recommendation to have the current chairman continue in this position for another year. The chairman was honored by the support of all the committee members. Excuse me. There was a lively discussion about space in the library to move the classics to be accessible and to make room for new books. If you've been in the library, you know the classics are like 10 feet up, so nobody can access them. Several suggestions will be followed, like moving some books to the balcony. I'm sorry. And we're going to eliminate the DVDs. Purchasing any new shelving was tabled. It was decided that the piece of furniture that we were looking at would make the room too crowded, and there wouldn't be room for a rollator to get around in the room. So the committee strongly urged the chairman to get administration to assist with the solution. So maybe with Michael just mentioned, the rehab that's going to be happening, maybe something can be done that we can get additional shelves. The computer has been an asset to the committee. It is not known. Thank you. It was not known how many residents have been using it. The committee was asked to vote on the purchase of a printer in order to assist the library monitors to access the inventory and to print it, and to check on books for the volunteer who purchases books, and to research and reprint information about current books. And the committee voted yes. Newspapers are still not allowed in the library. The subscription for the Times-Dispatch and Wall Street Journal has been on hold. Once they are allowed in the library, the deliveries will be started again. Donations of the current Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and the Washington Post would be appreciated at that time. Not now, but once the library is open. One of our members did donate the Washington Post and the Wall Street late in the day after they had read their own. So if any of you were willing to do that in the future, please let me know. And that would be a help to the other residents who don't have access to those newspapers. And also, coffee tables, books will continue to be distributed throughout the building. The Nagel Company have decided to do that job for us. And need for new volunteers is always needed. So please come be a part of the heart of Cedarfield, which is our library. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Dolly. Religious Life, Jean Harrell.
My report is usually on what has happened in the past, but before I tell you that, I need to let you know that tomorrow in this room, our entire Religious Life Committee will meet for the first time in a year. We met last January, and with the situation and what has been going on, we haven't had an entire meeting. But beginning Monday, you will have the opportunity to start writing your donations for the Angel Fund, which is the busy department of the Religious Life we keep busy all year long, and we will have the flyers in your in-house mailboxes Sunday night. So we hope all of you will read what's in the Informer. But the Angel Fund Committee met twice since the last report. A total of $3,900 was awarded to 2 requests. The Pastoral Services team has distributed the booklet, Cedarfield Christmas Collection 2020, and encouraged residents to give them to family and friends. The holiday readers' play, A Christmas Carol, was presented December 22nd. A lovely service of lessons, carols, and candlelight was held in Fellowship Hall on December the 23rd and streamed on 971. God and the Pandemic, a book by N.T. Wright, is a new Bible study series being taught by Roger Dowdy here in this Fellowship Hall, and also carried on 971. That will continue to go until February 16th. And Reverend Sam Neesmith talked on his adventures in mission on January 17th. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Safety Committee, no report. Welcoming Committee, Nellie Keener.
We have welcomed quite a few residents to Cedarfield recently. On December the 7th, Joe and Sherry Parker moved to 10,100 Cedarfield Court. On December the 22nd, Virginia Hutchins moved to apartment 385 D-Wing. On December the 21st, Milton and Patricia Cerny moved to apartment 206. On December the 12th, Carlisle Morgan moved to apartment 292 D-Wing. On December the 16th, John Ferris moved to apartment 486 D-Wing. On January the 13th, Sally Ward moved to apartment 487 D-Wing. On January the 12th, Kathy Pappert moved to apartment 383 D-Wing. We have had 2 welcoming sessions for these incoming residents, one in December and one in January, and both were well attended. Due to this coronavirus pandemic and restrictions, it has not been easy for these new residents to adjust to life at Cedarfield. The Welcome Committee would appreciate it if you would also welcome these new residents and help make them feel at home here at Cedarfield. We thank you.
Thank you, Nellie. Wellness and Leisure, Jim Tromander, no report. And with that, we will start with the area representatives. Area 1, Marty Rittenhouse.
Good afternoon. One resident stated that management should consider going back to the monthly meetings with each department. Direct contact of this kind may help with communication to get issues resolved. Another resident indicated there is still a problem with communication with facilities. This has been brought up many times with no improvement. One resident is not happy with the yard work of James River. Another resident said that James River trimmed the shrubs in front of the cottage after being asked not to trim them. Residents would like it if, when people leave Cedarfield, residents are told, When nothing is said, messages may be left on phones, and it's frustrating when the calls are not returned because the person is left. We would like to see more transparency when team members leave Cedarfield. On a good note, one resident thanked facilities for finally fixing the problem with the water temperature, so he no longer has to take a cold shower in the morning. Thank you.
Area 2, Ken Pankey. Eldon will give his report.
Area 2. There was only one question of concern that was raised from that group. The chair was told that the cottage residents who use Verizon instead of Comcast for their phone, the cable TV and Wi-Fi service do not receive Michael's recorded telephone calls when he places them to the residents. And the comment was, hopefully they'll be aware of that. I don't know what issue they might have to fix if it's a problem. And Area 3 also.
Yes, Area 3.
Okay. Area 3, there are 4 particular issues. That group noted that there's a continuing drainage problem relative to stormwater, which, interesting enough, is exactly the same issue that I mentioned earlier by the Environmental Committee. And they suggested a qualified professional be involved in getting that thing fixed. The second issue indicates when blowing leaves, James River Landscaping continues to walk through the flower beds and trampling some of the beautiful perennials, despite being asked not to. They feel like the equipment that's used to clean the streets only blows them into the yards and the shrubs and the flower beds. The third issue, some residents have complained about our dinners being overcooked, both the entrees and the vegetables, and in some cases the lack of seasoning. Can the menu have more selections that are transportable and or reheatable? The last issue, there have been several incidents with issues that have occurred on weekends or in after working hours. The question is, does maintenance have someone available on a 24-hour basis? Thank you.
Thank you. Area 4, no report. Area 5, no report. Area 6, no report. And Area 7, no report. Area 8, no report. Area 9, no report. Area 10, Carol is here. Carol Beck will give it.
Well, the good news in Area 10 is that we have successfully chosen 2 new area representatives for the next session, beginning in March. The names of Becky Simmons and Jan Moore, who will share the position, have been forwarded to the incoming Executive Council along with their contact information. The second item, I can start by saying thank you, Don Nagel. It's the issue of the door stops, which we had first brought up in September of last year. So it's in this report, even though I know you've already addressed part of it. We're bringing it up again, the door retention devices from last September. 7 residents in Area 10 have requested these additions to their apartments to assist in managing the heavy front doors while carrying bulky items or negotiating with a rollator or a walker. At that point, no response had been received from maintenance and engineering since the request was submitted first on September 11th. We're very happy to hear, and we can give you the names of those 7 people when you get them. A second concern in Area 10 has to do with the appearance of the ground level brickwork on the west-facing facade of A Wing. as visible from the east-facing apartments on B Wing. The people in B Wing who look out towards A Wing are looking at that brick. They feel that the brick under the first floor windows on the north and east sides of the A Wing is black with mildew. We'd like to request that it be put on the list for power washing if that is coming up soon. We've also received a new request, hopefully with spring coming one of these days. We'd like to see if we can get replaced the soiled and worn out cushions on the outdoor furniture on the porch at the end of B Wing on the second floor. That's it, and we're waiting with bated breath for those door retainers. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Area 11, no report. Area 12, no report. Area 13, Kent Road.
Before I begin my report, Michael, I would like to thank you for the hard work you put in securing the vaccines for all of us. The sense of security and comfort has been a true gift for this new year, so thank you. I want to take a few minutes to reflect on the many changes that have taken place in Area 13. This past year, we have lost 4 of our residents, Sally Dawson, David Drum, Wynn Wade, and Helen May, and we deeply mourn their loss. We also saw Connie Wynn move to her new home in assisted living. We currently have 3 vacant apartments. However, Carol Chernoff from Jupiter, Florida, is supposed to be moving into apartment 319, but she has no move-in date at this time. Carol Neiman from Burke, Virginia, is planning to move into apartment 354 in March, and we look forward to welcoming her. This past year, we also welcomed Loretta Miller to apartment 356, and we're delighted to have her in our neighborhood. Unfortunately, due to COVID and the loss of some of our members, and much begging and letter writing, no one has been willing to step forward and assume my job as representative for Area 13, and it is time for me to step down. I discussed this situation with Carol, and I have agreed to serve for the 3rd year. It's my hope that 2021 will be a healthier and happier year for all of us, and that someone in 2022 will look forward to taking over my job. And I look forward to being on council for another year and working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kent. Area 14, Linda Miser.
Well, I'm really not aware that we have any complaints. But I am very, very happy to be able to introduce Peggy Daniels, who is going to be the new representative for Area 14. There aren't very many people in A Wing on the 3rd floor who are even able to do that. So the fact that Peggy is taking over is a great relief for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Area 15, Jane Lyon, no report. Area 16, Ingrid Roper.
We are pleased to announce that our new area representatives will be Ann Smith and Jane Hessler. They graciously accepted their new role and will begin at the March council meeting. It has been a quiet but healthy 2020 in Area 16, and we all feel safe here at Cedarfield, thanks to Michael Shaw and his team members. It has been a pleasure to serve as area representative.
Thank you. Area 17, Nancy Boyer, no report. Area 18, Paul Mason, no report. Area 19, Selma Graves, no report. Area 20, Mary Esther Cawthorn. Area 20 includes 11 new apartments on the 4th floor of D Wing and apartment 481 occupied by Sharon and Ned Pepley. There are no vacancies. The newest residents are John Ferris in apartment 486 and Sally Ward in apartment 487. Bill and Elaine Bug will be in apartment 492. I've enjoyed being the temporary representative. We're fortunate to have all these nice people here at Cedarfield, and they have chosen their neighbor, Cynthia Seal, to represent Area 20 next year. Thank you. Area 21, Jan Lee.
Good afternoon, and it's so good to see so many of you. We've been a long way away. Area 21 has been separated from the community for over 12 months. It's hard to believe we've also been separated from each other, from healthcare, assisted living, and memory care during this time. We have, however, been able to shuttle information back and forth somewhat. We're separated, but we're still united. We're living with and through COVID. Let me give you our report in 3 parts. First, Sunshine Plaza, our memory care unit. On February 11th, they plan to feature a Valentine's Day dessert party after dinner. They're having a special guest who will come and play some music for all of their residents. Spirits are high. As part of their Around the World theme, this coming February, they will be visiting China. Our recreational therapist, Erin Chauncey, will be talking about China. Our recreational therapist will also be working with Shannon Gauss, the neighborhood leader, to provide a meal, a Chinese meal during that day. We have a few members from memory care that are also in the new scholarship program here at Cedarfield. These team members are currently in nursing school to attain their Bachelor's of Science in Nursing and their registered nurse certifications. That's exciting. In the assisted living neighborhood, we wound up 2020 with a lively celebration on December 10th for our team members, honoring them for the service they've given us during the past year. Thanks to everyone who helped and assisted in completing our wall mural, and I can give you all pictures of those at some point. We completed our holiday mural on the wall, which is the part of our community where they have had to block off one of our areas because of the new construction. We also welcomed in the new year with a beautiful dinner, thanks to some of the committee here and also to our team members. And all I can say, it was absolutely glorious. We had a beautiful sit-down dinner in our dining room. We had entertainment for the evening, and 18 of our 20 some odd residents were able to attend. We're so excited at Assisted Living that our dining room is finally open. We can still receive meals in our apartments if we wish, but our dining room is open, and that is encouraging socialization. It's been a very, very special time for us to be back in the dining room. Healthcare, North, South, and Central, the three neighborhoods have had a challenging year, and every team member is to be honored and thanked for their commitment to the care of their residents and for stepping up when extra help has been needed. Personnel changes have strengthened the teams, and it's hoped that it won't be long now that vaccinations occurring and that we all may soon say goodbye to COVID and be able to open all our residents to more socialization. Meanwhile, each of the three households looks forward to light at the end of the isolation tunnel. So, here's to spring for uplifted spirits, renewed socialization, and visits for everyone in all households and all neighborhoods and health services. And I'm pleased to announce that I have been re-elected to be the Area 21 representative for next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jan, and welcome back. We've missed you during the year. Is there any old business to come before the council? Any new business? Yes. You want to come up here?
My children always said I had a farm wife voice, but. Yeah, we're just going to make a suggestion. Last time, quarterly we get new directories with everybody's name and phone number in them. And the last time, they omitted part of it, which was to list everybody by their apartment that was at the end. List everyone by their apartment and who lives in that apartment and what their number is. And I think it would be nice if we could return to that, because especially when you're trying to figure out who it is who's living on your hallway, it would be nice if you had a name to it, and it would be very, very helpful. I think I used that as much as I did the other part of the directory, so if that's possible, it would be nice.
I have to agree with her, because when I was trying to work with the area reps and we were talking about elections, the question, it's so much easier. We used to go down the directory, it was alphabetical, and then the second section was by floor and apartment groupings, and it sure made it easier. And by going back to an old directory, I was able to put it back together again. But so maybe since they're in the process of preparing a new one, we'll make that suggestion and see if it's possible. Yes, Jacqueline?
If you go into Touchdown and you type the apartment number in there, it brings up the person's name.
Yes, that's true. So if you have the computer access or an iPad, that's another way of getting it, is putting in the apartment number. Any other suggestions in case we need them? Getting ready for the new year, it's very important that these things that make it easier for us to do our job come forth. And you'll be hearing a lot from me in this coming month to clean up all the little things that we want to finish and to help new people get ready for their new jobs. So I look forward to speaking to you through the phone